All right, we're back in the saddle. I've got some allergies going on, so hopefully that's not too annoying for me and you. And I'm taking a look at my 5 least favorite challenge maps in the Batman Arkham franchise for the Predator challenge maps. These are not going to include combat. Combat will be a separate list for best and worst. And T's not here today, Nate's not here today, just me taking a look at this. So let's jump right into it. The first one I wanted to talk about was Psychiatrics from Batman Arkham Knight. I honestly despise this map. I despise it. And there's a few reasons for it. I'm going to go through for each of these, sort of like the map design and some of the challenges that I think maybe don't work that well on them. Psychiatrics, you would think, was clearly designed for Harley Quinn because it is a Harley Quinn focused Predator map. However, it's even worse playing as Harley Quinn than it is as Batman. Playing as Batman, the map is actually kind of forgiving because you can very easily grapple up to one of 3 or 4 points up on top of the map. This is essentially just a simple rooftop map, and it's a breeze. It's very quick, couple minutes, and you're through. Now, as far as Harley Quinn, this is where it gets annoying. This map was very clearly designed for her, but her playstyle doesn't work here. They want you to go through the map without taking any damage, but you can't even do silent takedowns. So essentially you're working your way through a very bare bones structure that's just a few walls on a roof with no effort thrown into that at all. Very simple, not even pleasant to look at. And you have to spam Jack in the boxes in order to actually take out most of the enemies. And in fact, Harley's playstyle is so limited that they don't even have 3 challenges for her. You're gonna say, no, wait a minute, they do, but hear me out. The third challenge for her, like, there's 2 that actually focus on enemies. One is not taking damage, one is getting the medic with the Jack in the Box, but the third challenge for her is just to dive through a wall. That's it. It has nothing to do with the actual enemies. You just cartwheel through a wall and you're through. They didn't know what to do with this map, and it's not any better as other characters. Frankly, Batman is more forgiving, so it's at least playable. And you can 3-star it either way, but it's just not fun, and I don't know why they put no effort into this one. The next one I wanted to talk about was also from Arkham Knight, and don't worry, they're not all going to be. That was Revive and Shine. Revive and Shine is a real pain in multiple ways. So first off, it's really just at a metro transit station for a train. You would think, oh, that sounds cool. It's not. It's a much lamer version of the sort of transit station you see running above Endless Night. So there's really no variety here, nothing to talk about. It's just metal pathways with some stairs, and some ladders, and that's really it. I guess there's not even ladders here. There's just stairs now that I'm really thinking about it, unless I missed one. But frankly, you have to do a lot of annoying stuff on this map too. So not only is the challenge map design boring for this one, just like the first one we talked about, but the challenges themselves are obnoxious. You have to perform a couple of multi-takedowns, and in order to do that, you pretty much have to let the medics go around and revive enemies, but the pathing and AI for medics in this game is really bizarre. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that experiences this, I would think not, but the medics in this game don't always revive. In fact, I had plenty of times where they would just walk by an unconscious body and ignore it completely. So you're kind of waiting on a random AI roll to actually bring back these enemies in order to do what the game wants you to do. And in the meantime, you're just hanging out above a metro station. Nothing going on here. It was very clearly just a drag and drop into the game. I don't know. It's very disappointing, like I'm going to get into for some of these maps. And frankly, if the design is not that great, you can still sort of salvage it with the challenges, but if the design and challenges are both just mediocre or boring, you're not going to have a lot going on there, guys. I'm sorry. So the third one I wanted to talk about was actually Easy Money from Batman Arkham Origins. Batman Arkham Origins' stealth sections have gotten a lot of criticism. Some of it's rightfully earned, some of it is not. One of the problems with the stealth sections in this game is the enemy walking paths underneath the actual vantage points. Now, normally the vantage points stick out enough that the enemies have a pretty wide swath to walk under them for an inverted takedown to trigger. That's not the case in Arkham Origins. It is very specific. So you will have times when an enemy is like 6 inches too far up, you can't even inverted takedown them. And that's one of the main ways you're supposed to take down on this map is the inverted takedown. It's one of the challenges. So that's already a problem, and it's that way on all of the pathways in this map. Like, they're just a little too far out to the point where the enemies do not trigger for inverted takedowns. It's just kind of wonky and glitchy. And on top of that, the design of the Gotham Merchants Bank in general, it has nothing to it. Like, there is no personality to this map. It's a very boring version of a bank. And say what you will about Arkham Knight, they knew how to design banks. Like the Two-Face robbing the banks challenge Predator areas, like in the actual campaign, those are really fun. Those were actually really fun in that game. And it's because the maps were well designed. Now, there were some, mechanics to it people didn't like, but the maps worked. And my problem with Gotham Merchants Bank is not only does it not work, it's boring as all hell. You have vents that lead nowhere at all. Like right when you spawn in, you go off to the right, you take a vent cover off, it's about a 3-foot vent and you're in the next room. That's it. And it was clearly thrown there just to do a Predator takedown through the vent, which they use as one of their challenges. It is the simplest thing in the world. It's not that it's like too easy, it's just that it's so boring. There's random explodable walls or breakable walls just in the middle of the room for no reason. Things are really just tossed in some of the Predator maps in Arkham Origins just to be there, and they don't organically make any sense. I love this game, but man, was that a disappointing map. The next one I wanted to talk about was Wrecking Crew in Arkham Origins. This is another one of those that's just very simple and plain. Wrecking Crew is not hard, but I would say it's obnoxious. So again, I'm not looking at this from the standpoint of someone who has speed ran each of these maps. I really just play them, in my own time without looking up like, oh, how do you do this in 1 minute? I know people do it. They're very impressive. That's not me. In this map, if you just play it normally without memorizing enemy patterns and without looking it up, there's a lot of stuff that you sort of have to make happen that's a little silly. You have to make an enemy go up to these, to the fire extinguishers in order to pull one into them. Then you have to take them down there. You have to wait for an enemy to walk over a mine and blow that up to take them down. Like, the challenges are just so mediocre and boring. You will really never find yourself using the floor grates on this map, I don't think, because there's no point. And another thing with this game that really messes up the balance of this is the remote claw, especially on this map. There's like 3 or 4 guys positioned immediately that you can just, you have a limit of 3, but you can remote claw about 3 guys within the first 20 or 30 seconds and practically clear the entire map if you want to, and then just kind of poke around and finish the challenges. There is no challenge to this map, and it also follows that really plain, boring metal pathways, metal walkways, what would you say, format that some of the maps in these games have. Maybe it's just me. Like, I didn't play this game to play on an oil tanker, like it's not something that I really wanted to do. It's not a unique map. We already saw this concept in Batman Arkham City, so I'm not sure why it had to come back with the incinerators and everything in Arkham Origins. It could have been really neat, but there is nothing going on here. It's like, it's so boring. I don't even know how to describe it other than that. It's just so plain. And I'm sure you'll see it when you see the gameplay, but like, this is one that I have a hard time actually explaining why it's so bad. It just feels like a real chore to me every time I play it, where I'm like, ugh, friggin' Wrecking Crew, dude. Like, I just don't want to do this. And it's so tedious. The final map that I have to talk about is actually my least favorite in the entire series. The entire series. I'm sure I could go through and talk about some other ones negatively, but like, this one is my least favorite of all time, and that is Uncontainable from Batman Arkham Knight. Now, if you haven't played this, obviously, some of these maps are core maps, some of them with Arkham Knight DLC, like a lot of them were just added in post-launch. And the thing with Uncontainable is that it does try a unique premise. Now, you are controlling both Batman and Robin during this map, and that's not something that's only in this map, but it's introduced in this game where you are switching back and forth between both. You'd think, wow, that's really fun, that sounds great. But it's not. This is really a boring map again. There's no variety to the landscape. There's a few layers. It's in a shipping yard of containers. And honestly, I think the shipyard from Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, which is a very, very, very simple map with nothing going on, has more personality than this shipping yard. And that's saying something. Like, there is nothing here. On top of that, the challenges themselves, other than just you challenging yourself to swing through this desolate wasteland without boring yourself to death because there is nothing, those challenges are so silly. These are some of the silliest challenges I have ever seen in a Predator map in my life. You actually have to count and take down the same amount of enemies as Batman and Robin, because for some reason that's a challenge. So you take down an enemy as Batman, you have to put in your head, okay, I took down one as Batman. Now I'm going to take down one as Robin. You either have to switch off or you need to count. You need to do silly things like play as Robin, go into a room, hide in the floor grate, switch to Batman, then you get an enemy to go in that room, then you lock the room, then you have Robin take them out, basically. And I'm overcomplicating that a little bit, but like these things are just so silly. Like the silliest part to me is having to memorize how many enemies you've taken out. Like, oh, I've done 3 as Batman, better get 3 as Robin. Oh no, I messed up, gotta start over for that challenge. It's like, I don't even do the 3 stars on this map when I play it. I've messed around on this map some just to sort of get footage or to just play around with these characters, but holy cow, is this a bad idea. And I've never encountered someone who likes this map. I really do want to get your guys' feedback in the comments down below. Do you love any of these maps? Do you dislike any of them? What do you think about what I said? Agree or disagree? I'm always open to hearing it. And I love when you guys have discussions amongst yourselves too. Hey, before we go, I do want to throw out there real quick, I've done a bit of a bad job of promoting these things. We do have a lot of other social media stuff. My favorite is the Discord, which I will leave a link to in the description below, where you can join up, talk to other fellow comic fans, video game fans, fans of Batman, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, any video games, any movies, anything you want, pop culture, Star Wars, it's all there. So I would love to interact with you over there and make some new friends. And hey, check out the Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, everything in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully my allergies get better and I don't sound like I'm, dying. So hey, have a great one. Stay awesome.